death of Christianity turn out to be premature. It wouldn't be the first time. The results of the 1851 religious census shocked the nation. It recorded that 40% of the population didn't bother to go to church. This was seen as an indication of the ungodly nature of the country. Another blow to Christianity came in the wake of World War I. People thought that a God who tolerated the horrors of that war could not possibly survive.
Between the wars, the church lost ground which we can't even today really measure.
And then in the 1960s came the doommongers, the experts who forecast that with progress, Christianity would dwindle away.
I think we've just got to face the fact that quite a number of clergy feel that the church is right down the drain.
The church has certainly faced deeply challenging moments, and yet predictions of its demise have always proved unfounded.
Well, of course, it's hard, as it was in New Testament days.
The doommongers in the 1960s were wrong, and I think they're wrong again today. Christianity has survived far worse crises because of its ability to adapt its outward forms. So the question is not, does Christianity have a future, but what that future will look like. And what I find most fascinating and hopeful is not just Christianity's remarkable ability to adapt, but its capacity to surprise. One of the most unexpected areas of growth in recent years has come from a very traditional place. My search for the future of Christianity has taken me through a wide assortment of expressions of faith. But I'm very encouraged by recent figures that suggest it's some of the most traditional forms of worship that now appear to be thriving. Recent research shows that one of the fastest growing congregations in the Church of England is actually in cathedrals. Attendance is up by over a quarter in the last decade. The figures are so unexpected that no one yet understands what's going on. Charles Taylor is Dean of Peterborough Cathedral. What's it meant to you seeing an increase in the congregation?
Heck of a lot of extra work in some ways. Because, I have to say I have never been in a church, parish or cathedral where the congregation is actually so diverse. Just as an illustration, I think a couple of Sundays ago at the main service there were 230 in the congregation, of which 49 were under 16.
What about the atmosphere?
Oh, the atmosphere in the place.
Are people not excited by this?
Yes, last Sunday was terribly upbeat because the Peterborough City Male Voice Choir came in, many of whom probably wouldn't normally set foot in a church on a Sunday, so were not as though poaching from somewhere else. And it was great. It was a case of Saint-Sulpice in Paris meets the Welsh Eisteddfod. Really. And some of their families came, and there were probably 350, another 100 people in the cathedral that morning, and it really just lifted the whole thing. And one gets a feeling of, I don't like the word success, because to me that's a very worldly, secular term, but in a way, growth breeds growth. And I would like to think there is a positive atmosphere here, looking forward and going on and say, right, what next?
Cathedral worship provides awe-inspiring grandeur, rich ceremony, and world-class music. I think it mirrors another worldwide phenomenon of Christian worship, the runaway growth of evangelical megachurches. Whilst megachurches are modern and cathedrals nostalgic, the point is that both provide a sense of event that a small parish church could never match. Research into the current appeal of cathedrals has been carried out by curate Hazel White.
There was something about the music that was attracting people, and also something about the particular style of worship and type of service that people encountered in the cathedral. I then asked questions about what was significant to them now, some way down the line. And that was very interesting because people talked about the importance of belonging to the cathedral community and finding friendship and fellowship at the cathedral.
You see, a lot of people would be rather surprised by that, because they would say, look, a church is very small and personal, a cathedral is vast and impersonal. How can you feel more at home in a cathedral?
The questions we need to ask is, actually, what do people mean when they say they value belonging to a cathedral community? And is it somehow different to belonging to a parish church? Is there somehow more space to choose at what level you belong? Is there somehow less pressure to take on all kinds of jobs? So I think it may be that it's a different kind of belonging somehow.
I believe that Christianity in this country does have a future. But we have to face up to the fact that it could be in a very different form from the one we're used to. Diversity in worship will play an integral part in its success. That's why some very traditional forms will survive and even revive, like the Catholic Church and cathedral worship. But we should expect to see more new forms, like the Alpha Course, Pentecostalism, Curry Church. We may not even recognise today what my faith will look like in the future. But one thing I believe is certain. The Christian faith has survived for 2,000 years and has shown itself more than capable of adapting to a changing world. And I don't see why the 21st century should be any different. Your Grace, there are those who say that Christianity is in terminal decline. Do you believe that?
Not for a moment, because I believe in God. I believe that God has promised to be faithful to his people, and God's truth is more important than any trend.
I've gone to a lot of churches that are full of life and are growing across the spectrum, and so I'm optimistic, very optimistic.
The deposit of our faith does not change. The way we live it is always going to change, and that's what's exciting, because we believe the Holy Spirit is at work in that change.